Right. Welcome to another episode of or another webinar from Human-Centered Tech Transformation. We're going to get started. I want to be respectful of your time. I'm here with Nikhil Valvekar. Nikhil lives in Pune. He's visiting San Francisco for a few more, maybe a week or so. So if anyone is in the San Francisco area and you would like to have coffee with Nikhil, please reach out. And if you happen to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I would love to meet you over a cup of coffee as well. All right, let me give you a quick roadmap so you can be mentally prepared about what we have in store for you. We'll start with brief introductions from Nikhil and myself. We'll tell you the goals, so we'll begin with the end in mind. So we are going to tell you, make a promise to you, and then you can hold us accountable towards the end if we did not deliver on our promise. Some housekeeping. We'll tell you a little bit about our meetup if you are joining for the first time. We already have lined up our next event, which dovetails on this event. So we will introduce a problem in this event, and then in the next event, we will give you a solution to part of the problem. We'll talk about the sponsor, we'll dive into the presentation, and then we're going to wrap up. Uh, at any point along the way, if you have questions, comments, if you have comments, put them in the webinar chat window. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A window. And if I'm speaking, Nikhil will monitor it. If Nikhil is speaking, I'll monitor. All right, let's talk about intros. So I want to let me start by introducing myself. I'm based in Dallas, Fort Worth. I started off as a computer science engineer. I started off as a coder more than 25 years ago. And I realized something that I became a programmer because I love programming and I felt, oh my God, if somebody pays me money to do something which is so beautiful, my life is made. What surprised me is I've worked in some really big name companies, and the one thing that was common is we managed to suck the joy out of programming. It's such a beautiful thing, but I felt like the interpersonal challenges took something so beautiful and made it very frustrating. So I gave up my job and I got into the business of training, coaching, consulting, so that I could help people recapture the magic of programming and IT and technologies. And here I am. So, Nikhil, what would you like people to know about you?
Yeah, so Ravi, I'll extend what the theme that you mentioned. Right, so I've been also programmer, developer, engineer, like for like now 20 plus years. That way. So I've gone through not the early transformations, but all the recent ones that way. Right, so I am like technologist by nature. I like to build things. I'm builder by nature. But as the experience kept building up, I started seeing a gap between like what people needed, why something has to happen, and what we were doing. So that's where I got inclined towards more on the manager side, where like, okay, let's bridge that gap and make sure that the technology voice is heard and then the product voice is also heard. So that's where I'm right now. So trying to connect those two gaps, working as a CTO. Uh, that's what it is. So I'm currently in San Francisco doing some networking, understanding how people are building agents and how they are consuming it. So that's where I'm. Thanks, Ravi.
Oh, all right, welcome. Okay, uh, let's talk about the goals. By the end of this session, this is kind of like acceptance test driven development, practicing what we preach. So, this is like the acceptance criteria of the user story of this webinar. By the end of this session, we are promising that we will give you 7 ways to detect if your AI adoption or the adoption of a client you are uh, helping or guiding, if the AI adoption is solving the wrong problem, amplifying a pre-existing problem, or creating a new problem. One of my trainers, Ralph Gilman, taught me that a mediocre solution to the right problem is better than the perfect solution to the wrong problem. AI is a double-edged sword. It can help us move really fast, but speed is not always progress. So if we move really fast in the wrong direction, it can actually amplify a lot of dysfunction. So we want to help you watch out for those signs if they're materializing in front of your eyes. And then how do you manage the risk of solving the wrong problem, amplifying a pre-existing problem, or creating a new problem? So we are going to give you 6 risk management practices. And then if this resonates, you want some more help, we'll tell you how Nikhil and I can guide you. Okay. So those were the goals. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. The session is being recorded. Unless there are any problems with the recording, I'll put it on our YouTube channel. You're going to be in listen only mode. The reason is we got Zoom bombed. It used to be very interactive. Sometime last year, I think we had a very traumatic experience where we got Zoom bombed. So we had to lock things down. So I apologize for that. We would still have to get feedback. So I'll be, like I said, if you notice me looking away from the camera, that's because I'm monitoring the chat window and the Q&A. So please keep your thoughts flowing and your questions flowing through those two channels. And just to manage expectations, chances are we won't be able to answer all of your questions, but we'll give you a way to contact us at the end of this webinar should you want a follow-up session, a free follow-up session. If possible, Nikhil and I will get on a call with you and try to answer any questions which we could not get to during the webinar. And like I said, if barring any technical glitches, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel. All right, let me tell you about our meetup. So this is our 12th year. I started with two co-founders in 2014. We called it Agile DevOps DFW, try to find the intersection of Agile and DevOps. This will show you how dated it is. Neither of these appear to be resonating with people today. I just made it more, I would say, agnostic to the wave or the fad of the decade. So I rebranded it Human Centered Tech Transformation. My intent is I love technology, I also love human beings. My concern is that what I notice happening right now is technology might be leaving people behind, especially the vulnerable people, most vulnerable and powerless people. So I wanted to have conversations which helps us harness the power of technology without leaving human beings behind. Typically, our webinars are on Wednesday or Thursday around 11 a.m. Central Time. When I do have in-person events in Dallas Fort Worth, it's usually around 6 p.m. in the evening. And the recording is available on the YouTube channel. There are two ways that you can stay in touch. If you prefer Meetup, chances are most of you heard about this through Meetup, meetup.com. If not, we also publish the events, exact same events on LinkedIn. So whatever is your preference. What's the next event? So Nikhil and I have been noticing a trend that many companies will have hybrid teams. You may have AI agents, maybe it's you are consulting an LLM. What happens when the human beings uh, already, if you have more than one person, or even if you have just one person, I have internal conflict because there are things which I thought were the right thing to do one day, and the next day I have a new idea. So I'm already navigating internal conflict. You add other human beings, it's an exponential increase in conflict. Now you add AI and LLM, there's an exponential increase in conflict. So how do you navigate conflict when you have these hybrid teams? And then how do you integrate the wisdom of all of these sources of intelligence, human intelligence, artificial intelligence, community intelligence, so that you can harness it in pursuit of the shared goal? So that's what Nikhil and I will be talking about next month. So if this seems interesting, please RSVP. I published the event last night, and I'd love to see you there. Uh, all of this is possible because of my company, Org Whisperers. Our goal is to help organizations succeed. Profit is good, but profit is not the reason that companies exist, just like breathing is not the reason we live. We don't live to breathe, we breathe to live. So we believe in profit, making money, but it shouldn't be at the expense of sacrificing the well being of your people. So that's the mission of my company. Uh, and here are some outcomes our customers have achieved. So it's not just touchy feely stuff. Our customers have reduced time to market, increase in customer satisfaction, EBITDA, which is kind of like profit, and achieving their business goals. So if any of this resonates with you, I'd love to talk to you to see if we can recreate these results for your company. You want proof points? We've got case studies and white papers on our website, orgwhisperers.com. You're welcome to browse. And if you can help, just contact us, hello@orgwhisperers.com. So let's go into the presentation. So Nikhil, I'm going to give control to you and we're going to try something. I'm going to give the remote control to Nikhil and then we're going to see if this works. So Nikhil, please take it away. And I apologize in advance if it doesn't work, we'll work through it. And Nikhil, you're muted, so you'll have to unmute yourself.
Hey, all right. Yes, I have it. Okay, so what we are going to do is what next like 40 minutes, 30 minutes or so, we will be going through a kind of use case and why AI projects, like what happens with the AI projects and what goes wrong or where they are succeeding from that case, and as well as what we want to help you out with, like as Ravi pointed out, that something which you can take back is how do you know that your like um, AI project or your initiative is not going in the same direction that way. So with that, let's start with today's part. So we'll be going through this as a story, right? So like we'll take a company and go through one of their transformations, what happened and etc. So let's meet CallCo, hero of our story, and we will be talking about it. So CallCo is a contact center platform. It's a leading soft company into this contact center software. They have a lot of enterprises customers with them. Then they have high renewal rates, and as well as in their market segment, they're ranking very high, right? So all that's happening, so they have loyal customers who have praised them and been there with them for like many years. So, but then with AI and everything, this is what email arrives to them, like from one of their biggest customers, that hey, so our customers are dissatisfied. There is increase in the wait times, and then they can't get it done. So we have complaints, and and then what we are seeing is other vendors are offering like zero wait times, right? So you call up the number and then someone is there to answer, right? So you don't have to wait for like so you are in the queue for next 2 minutes or 5 minutes that way. So you need to look into that, otherwise the contract is on the line for this. Now, it's not just one email, like it's P firm as well, like which they are working on the next round of funding and then exit. And yeah, so they see that okay, there are costs are high. So why don't you roll out AI features? One, cost reduces. Second, it's like an interesting story for others who can buy it, right? So that's what we have been seeing. Like some cases, people are just patching up their existing workflows with AI, and then yeah, it's like we have AI workflows in our case. So that way, so the pressure starts building. Board of directors that hey, so our competitors are there, we are not there, we might lose our market position, and then yeah, so it's all over the place. CEO, his job is on the line. He need to get something done and something really fast. So CEO is under pressure, under pressure. The engineering team, yeah, like it trickles down, right? So everything, so yeah, they are not happy, company may not do good, and we'll lose our job that way. So we need to build something. So yeah, they saw a demo which where AI is handling all the calls and doing it. Yeah, let's, why not, let's give it a try. So they create a demo, and so that's what the decision which happens is that yeah, so customer complained that wait times are high, so let's reduce wait time to zero. AI agents can do all the talking, and what's going to happen is before human used to answer the call, so we had to wait till human is available and then get answered. Now AI answers that call, so average wait time from 8 it becomes 0, right? So that's a great achievement, and it's matches to what the complaint which we received, that customer was threatening about the okay wait times, our customers are unhappy that way. So they do it. Now in order to get it done, so they decide to use the AI tools to build it out, right? So average human efforts were like for this feature were like thousands of hours. With AI, it's reduced, like let's say 100 hours. Cost per feature is also reduced, like from 35,000 to 3,500. Feature cycle time also got reduced to 5 days. So and then yeah, you can churn out more, right? So you can push out more features that way. So, and then you can do frequent releases. So that's what we have been seeing. So what they create is like, okay, let's have some kind of scoreboard to track it. So month wise, they check it like, okay, first month, software development payroll. Yeah, there is a reduction. Product efforts, like efforts per feature. Yeah, that's reducing. It's a great sign. Cost is also reducing. uh, we have features per release, right? So more features are being released. Earlier it used to be slow cycle from that way. Feature cycle time, again, tied back to it, those are going on. Then releases also happening quickly. uh, yeah, so with this new feature, customers started using those right now, right? So they were waiting for those features earlier. The benefits, cost went down for the call center. Then calls handled are increased, and then that helps CallCo benefit in a way that, okay, the call center payroll goes down, call center are increased, so that also transfers benefit to CallCo, right? So the company costs are going down, and that way. But as they progress, month two, some things is not going well. So they started seeing other metrics into it. Escalations to humans are going up. Right? So agents are handling calls, but then if something is not resolved, so you have to escalate to humans. And then the wait time got increased because they had reduced human agents on the call center, right? So call center payroll was reduced with due to that agents were there. Then calls handle started going down, so there is a downward trend. NPS started crashing, right? So yeah, so Qualco's customers NPS was getting impacted because that bank here, they had bad reputation on the customer side. They had social media complaints, and yeah, then we all know that as soon as it starts getting there, it starts backfiring, right? So same happened with Qualcomm. Their NPS crashed. They had social media complaints. So these all started going into all directions, and then yeah, something wrong, right? So that impacted customer renewals. Now, if you see, this all started from the customer renewal thread. That, okay, that's not working out, and then it's again reaching to the same place. That, okay, now due to all this, customer renewals are also impacted. And then yeah, so what they started seeing, that adoption is taking hit, right? So some people were not using the new features which were like AI handling old ways, that way. So revenue impacts, and then we still again have the PE issue, right? So so your revenues are not there, profit is not there. So we are going into the loop of what all is happening. And EBITDA, right? So as we discuss. So ROI, EBITDA valuation, that's where the impact we had. So let's move to the next step, like what happened, right? So why all this? Like it's all started with a really good vision, dream, and everything that, okay, like once we implement this, everything would have worked pretty well. So they started conducting postmortem, right? So have discussions and understand what's going on. So what they revealed is they solved a wrong problem. So they replaced humans who had that empathy towards people who are calling them with rigid robots who are just going by the rules, right? So if you fall into this category, you get this, that way, and otherwise then you had to escalate. So then they amplified existing problem, meaning typically there is a tribal knowledge we all have, and that's sits in everyone's brain, and if we need some help, we can just reach out to other human being and ask that, okay, how do we handle this situation? And that used to be there. Now with AI being there, they don't carry that tribal knowledge. and they are not communicating with each other. They don't have social part to it, and they created new problem because this new feature got pulled into other frustrations, lawsuits, and other issues, which are new problems which which were not there earlier, and nothing which company was expecting to happen. So what happened was their biggest retention source or the driver was those human agents who were having that knowledge, who were having that connect, empathy towards customer, and they replaced that with the biggest attrition trigger or source over there. Like the change was causing all the effects. So that's what happened, and what we will be going through is like, okay, let's see how that could have been avoided. So that's the probably second part of our story. That's where we will head into. So over to you, Ravi, on the second part, that how can they adapt, what is how is their learning journey.
All right. Thank you, Nikhil. I want to pause here and I want to see if this resonates with anything that you have seen, you are experiencing, or if your spidey senses are tingling that this might happen to you. So I'll be monitoring the chat panel and I see a question. Uh, will it be possible to share the recording? Yes, unless there are any glitches with the recording, I should be able to publish it to YouTube tomorrow. So there is a reason that Nikhil and I chose a story format because I feel like as human beings, we are natural born storytellers. A lot of learning is transmitted through stories. That's why we love watching movies. We like reading books. And what happens is we feel that storytelling lowers our defenses. uh, Sometimes, it's human nature that we uh, resist looking in places which are scary, which might reveal that we could have done something better because it could damage our self-esteem. And so what I notice in myself is I resist going someplace if the threat is I'm gonna feel like an idiot. But when I'm hearing a story, that part is somewhere in the background. So the path to change is often through the heart. There is if you've read a book called The Heart of Change, this was written by John Cotter, who's like a guru in the world of change. He wrote a book, co-authored a book called Our Iceberg is Melting, which is a beautiful book. It's a fable. Um, so John Cotter used to work in Harvard Business School, and he did a lot of research on large-scale organizational change and transformation. And then he did some research with Deloitte. I think Dan Cohen from Deloitte Consulting, who used to be in the Plano area where I live, and they discovered something, empirical evidence, that 85% of change efforts fail, 15% succeed, and there was one thing common in those 15% of change efforts, that in every single case, the reason the change succeeded was that someone told a powerful story that touched the heart of a powerful stakeholder. So, as engineers, analytical people, we often feel that if you want to influence a powerful stakeholder, you appeal to the brain. You give them Excel and pivot tables and number crunching. But empirical evidence suggested that before you get to the head, you gotta get to the heart. And the path to the heart is very often through stories. And that's why Nikhil and I chose this medium of storytelling. And I would encourage you to use something similar. So, CallCo begins a learning journey, but it's understandable that people are terrified. This is a tough market if you don't have a job. So, people are scared. If I say something that upsets someone who has the power to fire me, I'm hearing horror stories of what it feels like to be jobless in this industry. How can I feel safe to speak the truth if I'm going to get punished? So, Callco management, they try to restore psychological safety, and the person who's facilitating brings up this quote. I learned this from a Scrum training. It's the prime directive. And what the facilitator was trying to do is trying to create a space. Um, And yes, Laurie, I will post the name of the book. The name of the book is The Heart of Change by John Cotter and Dan Cohen. And I will post the message on the meetup, or I will send you a message directly. So that's a beautiful book. So I'm trying to see if I have it in my bookshelf, but it's not here. It's in my office. So the facilitator of the retrospective tries to reassure people that we are not going to penalize anybody. And maybe to make it one step further, they create, let's imagine that they use Mural, anonymous, where people can post their comments anonymously. So let's say the facilitator insists that when you log into Mural, don't capture your name. Just type in your thoughts so that it doesn't come back. So the prime directive basically says, hey, we did the best with what we had, what we knew. It's also a Maya Angelou quote. Do the best with what you have. When you know better, do better. So let's imagine that in CallCo, psychological safety was created. And they engaged on a guided reflection. I learned something from the world of coaching. One-on-one coaching from the Coactive Training Institute and systems coaching from ORSC, CRR Global. And one of the things is that the job of a coach is to ask powerful open-ended questions so that the client feels curious. And it is in that space of curiosity that the client discovers new insights, and those new insights reveal new opportunities for action. So the coach who's facilitating this just asks a bunch of open-ended questions. And these are all from the world of coaching. What do we want? And because of the safety, people start sharing honestly. We wanted to satisfy the board. We want to satisfy the board of directors, our customer who's threatening to cancel the contract, and we want to satisfy the PE firm who's shopping around and trying to get exit and make some money. When do we want it? Well, the PE firm has given us, let's say, one more quarter to get the ship back on track. So we want to course correct as quickly as possible, regain the trust of the PE firm, regain the trust of our customers who are still around, but no later than the next quarterly investor review. Who do we want it for? Well, we want it for our big enterprise customers who are threatening to cancel the contract. We want it for management so they get off our back. We want it for our investors, and we want it for ourselves. We don't want to get fired in this market. How will we know it? We have it. Well, we'll stop getting escalated upon by the customer, by the board. And why does it matter? I don't want to get fired. And some of us want a higher valuation because we've got stock options. We want bragging rights because who doesn't want to go around and tell their friends, hey, I work at so and so company and we got a new round of funding and our valuation went up. So it'll boost my ego. The next question is, what is uncertain? Now, as we look ahead in the next 3 months, based on what we've seen in the past 3 months, what we realize it, CallCo realizes that sometimes what the customer wants and demands may not be what the customer needs. So the enterprise customer came and said, reduce the call time, and we want AI. And they actually gave the customer exactly what the customer wanted, but it turns out that's not what the customer needed. So the same customer who demanded AI adoption and a reduction in wait time now is coming back and saying, no, take it back. It hurts. I don't want AI, right? So you can't be a dumb order taker and give the customer exactly what they want. You have to understand what they need. So what was the impact? The impact was they got the bad news too late. So this is the wisdom of hindsight. This is kind of like Monday morning quarterbacking. The question is, what do we do next in the next 3 months? So it's not a repeat of the previous 3 months. So here are some invitations. The yes and. So the coach or the facilitator said, as you explore these questions, also ask these additional questions. Who do we want? We want to satisfy the board of directors, PE firm, our enterprise customers, and also ask whatever path we chose, what we want, how does it support the purpose, the reason for our existence? And let's talk about when do our customers and users want these solutions? Let's talk about who are we forgetting. Because if you notice this answer in the middle column, number 3, the customer is not there. The user is not there. One enterprise customer is there, but that one enterprise customer may not capture the needs of everyone. How will we know we have it? Sometimes you give a demo to your board of directors, they are very happy. Maybe you give a demo of the CEO of your enterprise customer, they are happy. Your CEO is happy. But the truth tellers are actual customers and users on the field. And many times in the tech industry, we don't talk to them often enough. So, who will give you unbiased truth? Who will give you the bad news as early as possible? And whatever you are trying to do, whatever release or feature you are trying to deliver, how is it tied back to your purpose? Also, it's we have to acknowledge that we are in a new terrain. We don't know what we don't know, and uncertainty is guaranteed. So, what's uncertain? How might we know that some risks are materializing? And most importantly, should any risks or unpleasant surprises materialize, how will we recover? Is there a rollback plan? So, let me pause here. And I would love to get some feedback. I would love to give you a chance to absorb these questions, reflect on these questions. And I'd love to hear back which of these questions touched your heart? Which of these questions do you feel might be most powerful in the context you are in now? Or as you look back in your career, if you look at the biggest avoidable risks or avoidable train wrecks you've been part of, which questions might have avoided those train wrecks? I give you just a few seconds to process. It's an invitation. If it feels right, share your feedback. Who are the truth tellers? So thank you for sharing. Was the one thing that resonates the most. Yes, who are the truth tellers? Nikhil and I, when we were preparing in the tech industry, very often the conversation and decision is dominated by hippos and zebras. Hippos are the highly paid person's opinion. It's understandable because of our survival instinct. We don't want to upset the most highly paid person because that person can fire us. They have power and privilege. The other person who controls the conversation is the zebra, zero evidence but really arrogant. It could be a person who's very loud in a meeting and nobody wants to argue with that person because it can get so unpleasant. They can bully you, they can insult you. So the real question is who are the truth tellers? And very often it's not the zebra, it's not the hippo, it's your actual customers and end users. Thank you for sharing that. So, uh, CallCo does a reflection and they come away with some new insights and they identify 6 risk management practices. We put this here just as an illustration. These 6 practices may not are not a panacea. They are not a silver bullet. They are not going to be the right solution for every problem, but these are illustrative practices. If it resonates, use it. If not, do what makes sense or emerges as a result of these questions in your context. So, number one, Colco says stay true to your purpose motive. Profit is necessary, but sometimes if you blindly chase profit, it can backfire if it is disconnected from your purpose. Practice number two, don't get rigid about the means. So, they pre selected, we are going to use AI come hell or high water. So, the solution was predefined. They realized that they should stay committed to the end purpose, and if it turns out that AI can help them be more effective in achieving the purpose, fine, but be ruthless. Don't get rigid. If AI is not the best solution, don't force feed it. Practice 3, start with a scoreboard. Before you spend a single dollar building a new feature, build a scoreboard. How will you decide that your initiative or your execution is meeting measurable goals? Build the scoreboard first. Watch out for hubris. Practice 4. In the tech industry, we can get arrogant. We can fall in love with our bright, shiny objects and toys. Be humble and curious. We could be really good at using LLMs. We could be good at Claude and ChatGPT. But there are still things that we don't know, and it's okay. We don't need to have that tech bro personality or archetype that you always have to have all of the answers. Remove the shame from not knowing what is unknowable. Practice number 5, don't conflate speed with progress. In the tech industry, we say we move fast and break things. It's become a cliche. Why do you have to break things that don't need to be broken? So, yes, move fast, but don't break things for the sake of breaking things. Speed doesn't mean progress. One simple technique I learned from my design thinking coach, his name is Jay Shu. He's an amazing coach based in the Dallas Fort Worth area. One of the things he taught me is that if you just choose five diverse representative human beings and you interview them, even if it's one interview, 40 minutes a month, where you get their feedback on their mock-ups of the design of the user experience, you get them to play around with early versions of your features, you might be able to cover 80% of the scenarios, especially if you have extreme users, people who face the most challenges. So if you design for your extreme users and if you test with your extreme users, just five people, you can try and take care of a lot of risks. These could be your truth tellers. And finally, guard against the biggest failure. I've been in companies where they say failure is not an option. Actually, failure is an option and failure is inevitable. The biggest failure is the failure to learn and adapt. So the best way to guard against this is create a cadence of reviews, retrospectives, and replanning so that you can get the bad news early, you learn from it, and then you adapt. So these are the six biggest practices that CallCo decided to implement so that they did not repeat the failures of the past. That brings us to the end of the presentation that Nikhil and I wanted to share, and we want to open it up to any questions that you have. What resonated, what doesn't, what are you noticing in your context that brought you to this webinar that we have not addressed? What would you like us to talk about next? And while you are thinking, I'm going to look up the book. And I saw one comment, designing without inclusion in mind. Okay, and Nikhil has already put the message for the book, The Heart of Change. Thank you so much, Nikhil. Beautiful book. It's just a story after story, and each story will just pull you in. Beautiful stories. Okay, only focusing on the largest customer. Yes. Um, I have been guilty of this where the enterprise customer who has the biggest contribution to the revenue and who's one phone call away from the board of directors. Sometimes that's squeaky wheel gets the most oil. Um, and it's understandable, but watch against the risk. Maybe not their customers or how people actually interact. Yeah. So if you can focus on the customer's customer and try and understand the customer's customer and what do they want, because if the customer's customer is happy, and then we are happy. So being curious about that, and the techniques that we would recommend are design thinking. There are a lot of good practices in the world of design thinking. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Uh, Two sources for design thinking I would recommend. My favorite is Nielsen Norman Institute, and there is another institute called the IDEO University. So if you want a trustworthy resource for design thinking principles and practices, those are two organizations that I would recommend. Nikhil, I noticed that you came off mute. What would you like to add?
I don't know. I was just there, like, if at all there are any questions or
Okay,
something to contribute, but not something specific.
got it. What other reactions do you have? What resonates? What were you hoping to get from this webinar that you did not get? And if not, we do not have to use up all of the time if we can't deliver value. So what I'm going to do is I will start wrapping up this conversation. Some closing thoughts in terms of what we do next. Um, if Thank you so much, Stacy. If you want to reduce risk in your adoption or your client's adoption, and you want us to be an impartial external sounding board where we can give you advice without fear of being fired. we don't have any stake in the game other than to serve you, then you can send us an email, hello@orgwhisperers.com, or if we are connected on LinkedIn, you can send us a message on LinkedIn, and we would love to um, help you as best as we can. If you want, Nikhil and I would love to connect with you as well. So if you would like to, you can follow us, you can connect with us. And I think, and if you found this session useful, then spread the word. We will be grateful for any positive messages on LinkedIn about what are your takeaways, and invite others to join our meetup and attend our future sessions. So, closing thoughts, Nikhil, what would you like to add as we wrap up this session?
Yeah, so probably I'll just circle back on the same topic or thought which I had shared earlier. Uh, so AI is creating massive opportunities, as well as it's helping organizations to be more productive. You can deliver fast, you can be fast at different levels, right? It's not just delivery, it's into sales, it could be into marketing, it could be into other aspects of the business. That way, what is important is we like drill down into that underlying layers of why we want to do it, who needs this. That way, find out which workflow makes sense, why it has to be done that way, so it becomes helpful. And if that individual who is responsible to do handle that area, if they themselves can do it, we can empower them. They won't have fear of that someone else is replacing me. Rather, they can take that ownership and like have like work on that. So that's what it is like. We find out a correct problem where we want to do like change it, improve it, and then we use the tools which are necessary to get it done. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Nikhil. And there's a very powerful comment from Stacy, which is I'm building on Stacy's comment that how might we be thoughtful responders as opposed to fearful reactors? So I remember when I used to talk to Ken Schwaber, the co-creator of Scrum, he would say, don't be a dumb order taker, be a trusted business partner and a trusted advisor. So it's human when the enterprise customer or the chairman of the board of directors or the CEO is scared and is angry and they are threatening you. Find a way to use AI, or I'm going to find someone who can. There is an implicit or explicit threat. It's natural to just react because you're scared. Everybody needs a payroll, everybody needs benefits. It's natural to just react. And sometimes that animal response, fear based response, can backfire. So, how might we create an atmosphere where we can be thoughtful responders and not fearful reactors? And that's what Nikhil and I are trying to give to you. And we will need to diffuse that aspect of the people who have power and privilege to fire you. So, how can we shift them in a state of curiosity and not furiosity? I read somewhere, be curious, not furious. But if the enterprise customer is furious, board of directors are furious, CEO is furious, there is no room for curiosity. So, how might we get them out of the furiosity gear and into the curiosity gear so we can do what Stacy suggested? How can we respond thoughtfully? So, and as Laurie was saying, it's just about getting back to basics. But what happens in the tech industry is every time there is a fad, people get scared and it's a primal response and we forget the basics. So we are trying, nothing that we are saying is new. We're just trying to remind you to get back to the basics. So thank you all for your thoughtful engagement, your participation. If we can serve you in any way, we please give us a chance. Contact us if Nikhil and I can help you. And if you found this valuable, we'd love to see you back again next month or at a future event, whichever, whenever it resonates. Hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and a productive end of your week. And hope to see you again.